what year did LeBron leave Cleveland?
13?
And when did the playoffs start?
14. Well, I
Catch
don't
my
understand
drift here.
I literally don't. I don't know what you're
okay.
talking about.
Well, let me elaborate then. When LeBron James left Cleveland and went to the Miami Heat, he did something in professional sports that had never been done before, or not done
the birth of the
in a
super
way,
team,
where he transcended his own superior talent as one of the greatest players to ever play to team up with other really great players in order to try to build a mini dynasty in Miami. And LeBron did leave Cleveland in 2011. So I think that in the 2013-14 years, 2 years after it, while the Miami Heat was winning and was the villain of the sport, that also coincided with the real birth of camps like the Opening. Recruiting rankings became more and more mainstream during that era. You know, back in 2003 and 2004, people who followed recruiting were viewed as nerds. Now now being a fan, that's mainstream media.
And I think it was more heavily geographic. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like the idea that like Brock Bowers would go to Georgia, like regardless of what's happening on the field, I feel like that would like almost never happen in 2005.
But I think the thing that I think people are wrong about, and I can't prove it, but I think people think that the 4-team field is responsible for the super team. I think that people wanting to play with their friends in the camp circuit and to build something the way that LeBron did when they were impressionable kids coming up as recruits had a much bigger impact on the notion of, hey, I don't want to just be a 5-star that chooses my school. I want to go to the school that all my friends are going to. I want to go win a national championship with the 5 stars. The 5-star prospects are in group texts with each other. They go to the same camps. They get the same awards. They get the same offers. They go on the same visits. So obviously going and being successful is one thing, but there's also a correlation between going to the schools that win the most and the most draft picks. And I think that's one thing that Michigan might actually have, something to say about it. They got 15 to 20 players, drafted off of this team. That's what sells. I don't think prospects chose programs because of the playoff.
It's a good point,
programs. They chose programs because they wanted to play with their friends and they wanted to get drafted. And I think
I feel like you should write a how LeBron James brought about the 12-team playoff column. I
actually think LeBron James's actions impacted all of sports. I think that's probably true. I think that something to that. The idea that Michael Jordan would have rather died than sign with the Lakers. True. I think that the thought process that the best player in the world could own the league that he plays in and take it over. And you got to remember that kids are impressionable. That's all they knew. They didn't grow up watching Jordan.
They grew up watching LeBron. Not an understatement to say the most culturally significant athlete
and most famous person on the face of the earth.
Well,
maybe. I don't know about soccer.
Let's not disrespect Ronaldo in that way, Ari. But
I mean, all I know is people in China are reading about LeBron.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that I think that's part of it too. It's like I don't think I don't know that I buy into the notion that we're going to get to a 12-team field, and because there's a 12-team field, all of a sudden Georgia's going to recruit worse. Now, I think that the NIL and the portal might have something to do with it, and it's all kind of happening at the same time.
There's so many variables that it's hard to really.
It's hard to
say. That's why.
That's the one,
so
right?
Much is changing, yeah.
But that is a very interesting off-season discussion.